can I just bring in the MSP? Now, a whole lot of farmer organizations are basically saying that the move is a step forward, or it brings it, or these particular three bills brings it closer that the government is going to do away with this traditional role of a guarantor of being an MSP. The Prime Minister has made statements, ministers have made statements that the MSP is continuing. How are we reaching that conclusion that these bills take us to a place where the MSP will either get diluted, dismantled, or go away with? How are we reaching that conclusion?
Okay. Firstly, again, as I said, the farmers are seeking stability in price. And by the way, what stops the government? If the Prime Minister is explaining all those things, actually, I'm sorry to tell you that I am repeating myself incredibly on this issue. I have no choice. Let's look at the Prime Minister's saying that assurance, if he could ram through these three bills. What about a couple of bills that absolutely nobody in Parliament would oppose? Yeah. Why not have a bill saying MSP is guaranteed and sacrosanct? And if you could ram through these three bills, that bill will be the first in decades to pass unanimously. And another bill saying cancel farmer debt totally. Yeah. What would that? All over the world, there is debt cancellation movements going on. In fact, for the world to emerge from the pandemic, the West is going to have to cancel debt. There are movements like the Jubilee and others for cancellation of debt within the United States and Europe. Okay, and there are international movements which have been around for 2 decades for cancellation of third world debt. Who's the third world within our society? Farm laborers, farmers, Dalits, Adivasis. You need to cancel that debt. Now, let's say Mr. Modi brings these two acts onto the floor, since he says he's for them. Yeah, he doesn't want the farmers to be enslaved. And he is saying, on his word, the MSP will remain. Why not bring in these two acts? And by the way, how those acts were passed, which all of us, it was such an unedifying spectacle. Yes? You throw out people, you absolutely humiliate the democratic process, where it was most basic, that if the opposition wants a division on vote, you've got to give it to them. Okay, this is one. Second, Anubha, what about the credentials of word of mouth promises and even promises on manifestos? As I said, I'm sorry to be repeating myself for the nth time this week, but here's the thing. 2014, just before the election, a government came to power substantially riding on one promise, which brought them millions and millions of farmers' votes. It promised within the first 12 months, we shall implement what they call the main recommendation of the Swaminathan Commission, COP2 plus 50%, which they said as cost of production plus 50%. Within the first 12 months. You know that, you covered that election, you know the promise. What did they do within the first 12 months? They filed an affidavit in court saying this cannot be done, it's undesirable, and it would distort market prices. That was the word. That is 2015. 2016, the Agriculture Minister, Mr. Radha Mohan Singh, denies that such a promise was ever made. 2017, Radha Mohan Singh says, forget Swaminathan, look at Madhya Pradesh. Our Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji has created a model of agriculture which goes far beyond Swaminathan's meanderings in his report. That is the same year. I think that was the year when, in fact, they were even celebrating that model with great leading economists and intellectuals gassing about it at IIC, when 5 farmers were shot dead at Mandsaur. And then,
I think these are all indications to prove that this government is not serious about keeping its MSP promise.
please, 2018, 2019, the last two budgets of Mr. Arun Jaitley. I'll save you the time. Your viewers can look up paragraphs 13 and 14 of the finance budget, of the finance speech of the minister. What does Arun Jaitley say? After you've said we will do it, then you've said we won't do it, it's bad. Then you've said we never made a promise. Then you've said it's irrelevant. In his last two budget speeches, he claims we have already implemented. In paragraph 13 and 14 in that speech, he says, we've already implemented it in the Rabi season. Now we will prepare it for the Kharif season. What the trick here, look how many positions in 65 years. The trick here was playing on the word cost of production. There are different ways of calculating cost of production. The definition they're using has nothing to do with the Swaminathan Commission's recommendations. There were broadly three. There are several ways of calculating cost of production, but the three most common, one was A2, which was simply the basic inputs of agriculture. A2 plus FL, which was inputs plus family labor, and COP2 plus 50%, which was the Swaminathan Commission, which was not just about basic inputs and family labor, but comprehensive cost of production, including rental of land, the rental value of the land. All these things were taken into account. Now, Anubha, the price difference on a quintal of wheat between A2 and Swaminathan's COP2 plus 50% could be 800 rupees per quintal. What the government of India did was to take A2 plus FL and implement that on certain products. And that is what Mr. Jaitley was claiming. We've already implemented. Okay. So I'm saying you've seen such mendacity. On what basis can you say that you should believe them when they say that they're not trying to undermine
the MSP?
And they will let APMC. Now here, let's go to two other sectors. It's very important.
Can I just bring in another argument, because we're on the MSP itself. There are two arguments that I have heard from people who are for this legislation. Number one, they say that there is an unwarranted obsession with the MSP. The second thing they say is that the MSPs anyway work in the regulated mandis. We have already come to the conclusion that a large number of your farmers are not going into these mandis. So one particular percentage is only taking the benefit of the MSPs. So to continue to harp on the MSP, if the government of the day today is saying that both systems are going to work, well, the MSP is still very much going to exist for a long, long time to come.
I'm saying that it's so, the logic is so internally contradictory.
Okay.
Yeah. If the MSP is going to be there anyway, yeah, why don't you prick out an act saying so? Why don't you put that guarantee? You're willing to beat up MPs and throw them out of the house to get this passed, but you're not willing to do, you're not willing to put that guarantee in legislation which will bring out the farmers in support of your legislation.
So why do you think the government is not willing to do that?
Because they have no intention of building on MSPs, as I've shown you in the last 5 years what they've done. So it's absolute nonsense to expect that they are suddenly going to twist and change that. And these kind of people who say this, I remember a very similar bunch of people for the first 3, 4, 5 months praising and defending demonetization. These are people who are going to praise and support and defend whatever atrocity the establishment enforces on the poor people of this country, and later will try covering up their tracks and say, oh, it was contingent on this. They know damn well what's going to happen. And the other thing I'm trying to say is that you're saying the MSP, the idea of that came to break the grip of money lenders, intermediaries, and third parties over the farmers' produce. Now you are removing that or belittling that or undermining that. It will be there in name. Sure, it will be there in name. In your home state of Maharashtra, how did successive governments undermine the MSP? They would by not procuring. If this was such an integral part of the Vidarbha crisis and the cotton kapas crisis. Second, what they would do, they would announce a high MSP. They would announce a high MSP and open half the number of centers that were necessary. Second, now you know how many, tell me how many MSP centers are going to open after this legislation. So the state government would then open half the, Mr. Vilasrao Deshmukh's government would open half the number of procurement centers. Second step would be open them late.
So
by that time, that farmer is desperate, he will sell to the first sahukar. Third, close early. So that the centers would be, so that late arrivals to the market would again be diverted to the private trader. Now, if the people who are defending this and saying it's going to be the same, there is always that option. If they don't know this, they are really illiterate and living in la la land. Okay? They know nothing about their country or the system on which the rural procurement works. But again, I'm saying that if this is part of a larger philosophy, which is why you're seeing that the main opposition to this government in parliament is criticizing the act, but not the philosophy of the free market on which it is based. They are not coming out and saying that this is absolutely wrong thinking. Okay. As I said, it was a Congress government in Maharashtra that started the Vashi APMC, the model. Okay, it was planned for from that time. You limited the power of that APMC to so many thousand square feet. It had no powers beyond that. And you thought other centers would come up. It didn't. Here's a very important point for you. While I'm saying that while this is entirely pro-corporate, entirely for the corporate world, it may not work out the way they think it will. I'm trying to say that what might be the result may be pure chaos.
Pure chaos. Why is that?
Because you're creating a vacuum and expecting particular forces to fill that vacuum who may not. Okay? Who may not do that because they're not willing to put their money into anything that they consider risky. They want the government to do that. They need public funds to do that. Like all the great scams of the private sector have been fueled by public sector money.